Hi everyone, Tiffany here, and I want to apologize for taking so long for this update. As you can imagine, balancing a newborn, a 4-year-old, and a 12-year-old, plus weekly cancer treatment in Houston, and researching my situation ad nauseum has been a pretty full-time gig. Y'all know if anyone was cut out for this, it's me, but without my family and husband, I would be an absolute hot mess. So as an update, I have reached a significant milestone in my breast cancer treatment. I just finished chemotherapy last Friday and rang the bell at MD Anderson, which is a signifier of the end of chemotherapy. And from that, there's good news and not so great news. First, the not so great news. This type of cancer doesn't have targeted therapies like other breast cancers do, making chemotherapy the primary weapon. Triple negative breast cancer is particularly insidious because it's fueled by multiple sources, theoretically, and loves to outsmart traditional chemotherapy. And one of the big two guns that often are thrown at my breast cancer, I responded with a 90% regression. The second I developed a resistance to in July, and my cancer started to regrow. I'm smart, so this stupid cancer is rather clever too. The good news is that the regrowth was caught very minimally, and it has not spread to our knowledge. I advocated for myself and my oncologist listened. And so of the 23 suspected lymph nodes involved with my diagnosis, none have been reinfected. They all remain clear and no new tumors have developed either, which is remarkable. So I remain at stage 3C, which is not stage 4 and therefore curable. And I'm very fortunate. I've got silver linings for days and days and days, and that is what I'm choosing to focus on. Cancer fighting has a lot of ups and downs. If you could see my hands are just permanently clasped. It's extremely stressful. Last week, I was hospitalized for 5 days with febrile neutropenia, or essentially a crashed immune system, which can be deadly. And I was released and then took a 24-hour rest and then drove to Houston for my final round of chemotherapy. After the failure of the second type, they threw the first gun at me again, and I'm praying for a fantastic response, just like I had the first time. Let me tell you, this tumor is pissed from that last round. The best way I can describe it is this red, inflamed, palpable mass that is tender to the touch and stabbing pains and throbbing and aching. And, that's the cancer dying so my body can heal. So I embrace it. I'm not taking Tylenol. I want to feel that tumor die. So I'm very optimistic about the type of response that I'll get. So with chemotherapy being complete, my next phase is a double mastectomy and lymphatic bypass surgery, which will take place on September 2nd. Both surgeries, the surgeons I have met are fantastic. They're at MD Anderson, which is the best cancer hospital in the world. And so I'm grateful for their skill and their patience in answering the millions of questions that I constantly ask. And so, that's not going to be a fun experience, but I really trust the people that are going to have my life in their hands. And so afterward, I will go on to radiation every day for 6 weeks at MD Anderson in Houston. Being apart from my kids for that long is going to be tough, but I'll be down back on the weekends. And so that is a little salve to the wound. But after radiation, I will continue on oral chemotherapy and immunotherapy throughout 2023. And I will also be checking into an alternative therapy clinic, likely in Germany. There's another one in Mexico. I'm interviewing both to continue treatment with science-based modalities. And so I'm continuing to fundraise for this cost through Give Butter. Some of you guys had asked why I didn't use GoFundMe. Give Butter doesn't take any fees. So every contribution kind of makes you an investor in me first, rather than their platform. And that is important to me. In terms of the alternative clinic, there are many cancer fighting modalities that have high efficacy and good peer-reviewed studies, but they don't have big pharma millions for, clinical trials and that are very significant and have impressive results enough for MD Anderson to incorporate them into a standard of care. And so I will be pursuing those treatments, which many other survivors who've reached out to me advocated very aggressively for, treatments like high vitamin C, hyperthermia, hyperbaric oxygen, and low dose chemotherapy, which I will at that point be armed with the results of my tissue samples from surgery that will reveal what types of cancer my tumor dislikes. And so I'm extremely optimistic about that as well. I also have more good news. I have had 5 months to accept this new reality and do some soul searching. And this horrific diagnosis and the traumatic treatment plan has forced a pretty radical accountability of my life and how I want to spend my many years left on this planet. And after a lot of encouragement from friends and colleagues, I've decided to launch a Patreon to finish my 5 unfinished projects that are all in various stages of completion. I'm going to blog my cancer research and experience there to help other women. I will dive into interviews with misfits and rebels and troublemakers on my podcast, The Curiosity Offensive. And I will complete my 3 unfinished books. The first one is Black and White, a novel I've been writing for 14 years and is 90% complete, ready to shop around to agents this coming spring. And then my book, What McAfee Taught Us, which is a memoir of my time as chief of staff and director of communications for John McAfee. And also contributions from other people who have worked with John that have some fantastic and wonderful life lessons that they learned from him. That is going to be a lot of fun. And then my last project, which is Things I Think I've Learned, Elder Millennials Guide to Not Effing Your Life Up Too Much, which is, still a work in progress, but it's essentially a collection of essays that I've, produced since 2010. And I cover everything from adverse childhood experiences to things I've learned about sending your husband to war 5 times in 12 years. And trauma-informed parenting all the way to, growing up as a minority in Houston. And so, I'm excited about that too. And so I have some other things too that I'll produce there, but you can check out the link for that, more on that later. But in the meantime, on a final note, for breast cancer survivors and fighters out there, people who are dealing with a recurrence, I don't know. No, now that I'm further into the process, I just want to tell you that I'm here for you. If you're watching this and you know someone who's struggling with this diagnosis or just getting started, please feel free to send them my way. I will do everything and anything I can to help them. Cancer diagnosis uproots every facet of your life and thrusts you into a world of rapid fire, high stakes decision-making. And do this treatment, don't do that one, try this supplement, but the study says it's useless. I mean, it's an endlessly rudderless, demented chaos. Even for an experienced journalist and natural researcher such as myself, it's, I feel you. So if you ever need to talk, I'm here. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, but I can listen. I sailed through chemotherapy like a champ, so I can share with you what I've done. But please reach out to me if you feel alone on Facebook or email, and I'll do everything I can to help you. And if you're a woman over 40 watching this, under 40 watching this, please get your boobs checked. Don't wait until you're 40. I mean, insist on screening and push your insurance company if they won't cover the cost. Reach out to me. I have strategies to help you for that as well. You're worth it. And please make it a priority. I wish I would have known much sooner what was happening with my body. So thank you again to everyone that has supported my family through this experience and donated to the Give Butter. Most importantly, you taught my 11-year-old and my 4.5-year-old what giving and receiving and community look like. And I'm deeply grateful. They've been very sheltered from this experience, and the things that they are taking away from it are how many people rallied around to support us during this time. I love you for that. And I can't thank you enough. I don't know how I will ever repay you all, but I will find a way. So love to all.